Welcome back to another Diablo 4 build guide. I'm Briscoe, and it's Free the Nipple Friday, as y'all can see. I've been trying out a pretty sick Pulverize build lately, and I wanted to share with y'all. I just beat the World Tier 4 Capstone dungeon with it at level 60, which is 10 levels below the level 70 mobs in there. It wasn't a cakewalk, that's for sure, but we got her done. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. By now, a lot of you guys know how the skills work on the skill tree, so I'm just going to go through the skill points really quickly. All right. 1 point into Earth Spike, 1 point into Enhanced. Coming down here, we're going to take all 5 into Pulverize, Enhanced Pulverize, Raging Pulverize. We're taking 1 point of Heart of the Wild to unlock Wild Impulses. All 3 points go in there. Coming on down, we're going to take 3 into Predatory Instinct, 3 into Iron Fur. We're going to take 1 in Earthen Bulwark, Enhanced, and Preserving Earthen Bulwark for the Fortify. Coming down, we're going to take 1 point into Debilitating Roar, 1 point into Enhanced, and then Innate. Moving on down, we have nothing in this tree here. We're all the way down, 1 point into Hurricane, Enhanced Hurricane, Natural Hurricane. We're going to take 3 points into Mending, and we're going to take 3 points into Provocation. We're not taking Trample in this build. We're going to max out all 3 of these nodes here for the Fortify, Crushing Earth, Safeguard, and Stone Guard. Moving on down, we're going to take 3 in Defiance, 3 in Circle of Life, 3 in Resonance, and only 2 in Natural Disaster. For our ultimate, we're going to take Grizzly Rage and the supporting nodes, and for our key passive, we're going to take Earth and Might. Moving on to the Paragon Tree. Nothing special here, just moved up the right side for the damage nodes, for the 20% damage here, keep moving up. I put in the Werebear here in the first socket. These aren't 100% final, but I found this one gives me the most bonus right now, and I've been leveling it. I think it's about level 8 for me right now. Came up here just to get this gold node resolve for resistance. Then we're going to come here on the left side, get the 20% damage again, and work our way up to the next board. On this next board, we're taking the Earthen Devastation board. Now, I don't have it unlocked yet, but this is the board you're going to want to do. Come up here off to the right. We're going to take Crushing Earth, 10% Earth skill damage, 15% to crowd controlled, which is a staple of this build. I came up here and grabbed these two just because it's more crit damage to crowd controlled and Earth skill. Moving back up here, we're just trying to get this second glyph slot. This is what I've been using. It's not the best. I'd probably use Dominate or something, but as you can see, if I put Dominate in here, I don't even have the 5 intelligence to get the passive, so it's literally useless. After that, I came over here to get this gold node, Earth and Power, another 30% crit damage with Earth skills, huge. These couple nodes are also 7, 7, 7, all crit strike damage. From here, I'm going to probably work up to this node and then come back down this way to get Earth and Devastation. But that's pretty much what I was working with for level 60 Capstone. For the Spirit Boons, I'm running Gift of the Stag for 10 max Spirit. We're running Avian Wrath for 30% crit damage. Third row, we're running Energize. Dealing damage has up to a 15% chance to restore 10 Spirit. We're going to Spirit Bond with the Snake, and we're going to do Obsidian Slam for that guaranteed overpower, and the third node, Masochistic. For the gloves, I'm using Rampaging Werebeast gloves. They increase the duration of Grizzly Rage by up to 5 seconds. I have a max roll on this one. In addition, the critical strikes while you're in Grizzly Rage increase your critical strike damage by 10% for the duration, which is really good. For the boots, I'm running the Quicksand boots. These are very important for the build. You have to have this aspect. Damage from Earth skills slow enemies hit by 25% for 5 seconds. Now, the slow percentage for this doesn't matter at all. In fact, I might even opt for a lower percentage like this one, purely because I want to group the mobs a little bit quicker. But just slowing the enemies for 5 seconds is what's really important. We just want to get that slow on them for the increased damage because it does count as a crowd control effect. For my weapon, I'm putting the Crash Stone aspect on. Earth skills deal 60% more critical strike damage to crowd controlled enemies. Like I said, we're getting all our crit damage to crowd controlled enemies, which is why the boots for the slow is very important. I recommend putting this Crash Stone aspect on your two-handed weapon if you can, because you get the 100% increase in stat, because that 60% would only be 30% if you put it on a one-hander, or if you put it on any other piece of gear. Moving on to the necklace, I'm using the Shockwave aspect. This is huge for the build as well. I didn't end up getting this actually till around 56 or 57, I believe. I tried the build before I even had this, and it was good. You can use this build without it. However, getting this should be your #1 priority when you're doing Hell Tides, when you're farming gear, when you're using your obols, gambling. You need to be prioritizing gloves or offhand. And for chests and Hell Tides, gloves, necklaces, rings, or one-handed weapons, even two if you can't get anything else. You want to be prioritizing those offensive aspects because you need to get this shockwave aspect as soon as possible. This is huge for the build, and while it will work kind of before this really ramps up your damage. It's crazy. Put this on your necklace because you're getting that 50% bonus. I don't even have a very good roll on this, but you know, it is what it is. The only one I've gotten so far. On my ring, I'm running Ursine Horror. Pulverize is now also an Earth skill. After casting Pulverize, Tectonic Spikes continue to deal damage over 2 seconds. This is a must. You cannot run this build without this purely because Pulverize is scaling off of Earth being an Earth skill. So without this, the build doesn't work. You need this. This is very easy to get in the Codex of Power if you can't even get a good roll. For my second ring, I'm still using Mother's Embrace. It's a really good ring, and I have not found a better one. This is still the one I got when I beat Lilith originally at 37, 38, something. I don't know. A long time ago. As you can see, this is a level 40 item. The refunded resource is just big, and everyone should have this by now. Just use this unless you find something drastically better. I highly recommend this ring. The resource generation for this build will get better over time as we move into further Paragon boards, but for now, this ring helps a lot. Now for the chest, I'm running Insatiable Fury, which is a unique that werebear form is now your true form. So you're basically in bear form 24/7, and you gain +2 ranks to all your werebear skills. Now this is really good to have. However, I did start the build and start using the build before I had this and was doing completely fine. So this is not 100% required, but if you can get your hands on this, I would definitely use it. As far as defensive aspects, you can kind of run whatever you want, whatever will keep you alive. So I'm running Protector on the helm. Damaging an elite enemy grants you a barrier for 10 seconds. For the pants, I'm using this one. Basic skills grant 20% damage reduction for 5 seconds. This one's pretty good because you're going to be using your Earth Spike quite a bit, weaving it in and out for spirit generation until we get further on in the build. So you're going to have that 20% DR for 5 seconds. You're going to constantly be refreshing it, and it's going to be up quite often. As far as the stats on the gear that you want to prioritize, anything with plus ranks to Pulverize, anything with crit damage with Earth skills, or Earth skill % scaling damage. Increased damage to slowed enemies is really good. Increased damage to crowd controlled enemies. Overpower damage is huge for this build. For gems in your armor, you're going to want rubies for the 3% maximum life. For your weapon, you're going to want the blue sapphires for the increased crit damage to crowd controlled enemies. And I'm running skulls for armor in my jewelry. The number one thing to remember with this build is to make sure the enemies are slowed before you start spamming your Pulverize. This ensures that we're getting those huge damage multipliers when attacking. Any form of CC works, but this build focuses on slows. Now we can slow enemies in 3 different ways with this build. Number 1, Debilitating Roar. Besides the 70% damage reduction from enemies we're getting for 4 seconds, it also slows enemies by 65% for its duration. This one works really well by grouping up a large pack of mobs and just slowing them all with the press of 1 button. Next we have Hurricane, which lasts for 8 seconds, and it constantly hits enemies around you, and every time it hits an enemy, they're slowed by 25% for 2.15 seconds. And the third way we're getting our slow is from our Quicksand aspect. Now I have mine on the boots. Damage from Earth skills slow enemies hit by 25% for 5 seconds. This is huge. So all your Earth skills are essentially going to slow the enemies. So you're just going to want to make sure between these 3 sources that you're slowing all your enemies before you start doing big dam, because this is going to stack up your multiplier huge. I'm going to keep it real with you guys. I died probably 10 times on that last boss. I had the boss to 1% and died. Did not rage at all because I'm just a super calm dude.
Stop the cap.
So if you're struggling at level 60, just get a few more Paragon points, get your gear lined out a little bit better, and by 62, 63, you should be able to do pretty well with this build in there. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Hope this build helps some of you out and you can crush the Capstone dungeon and get into World Tier 4 as soon as possible for those huge XP gains. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.